So yesterday we covered till here the controls which we can use to set and get values. So those were radio button list, checkbox and checkbox list. Okay. Now few more controls which we may want to use sometimes to use the graphics or the advertisements on our application. So it will be basically images. We want to display some images. So images can be displayed in many ways. One is background. This will come in the CSS actually. Images can be displayed as a background image. You must have seen on many pages or many websites, you see a background image. So for this, there is no ASP.NET control, but we can use the background property. Okay, there is a background property which you can add to the body element of HTML or div element of HTML. Anywhere you can use the background. Okay, background URL property, background image property of the web form. So this is we can discuss in the CSS. This is something like image and URL. This is how you set a background image property for any element, for any HTML element. Now, when you set a background property on the body element, that becomes the background for the entire page. Okay, because body is the entire page. Body contains whatever your page contains. Now, if you want to set a background image for some portion of the page, not for the entire page, what you can do, that portion you can keep in the panel control. We'll discuss how to use the panel control. And then instead of setting the background property for the body control, you can use back image URL property for that panel. So panel is something like you are dividing a page. You can divide a page into multiple portions or panels. This is a 1 panel, 2 panel, 3 panel. You're basically grouping items or controls on the page in panel. Okay. Now you want to set a background only for this panel. So you can use the back image URL property of the panel. Okay. This is what is to set the image on the background. Now as a foreground, which you can see, which is the main thing as a, like a element, we can use image control element in the ASP.NET. If you want to display image as a button, we can use image button, which we have already discussed. So basically that will be a image, but it will behave like a button. It can post back. Okay. So image button, and then you can display images as an advertisements. Advertisements is many times whenever we browse through the application, e-commerce websites, on left top we see the advertisements, which are basically rotating images. Okay. So we see the Domino's advertisements or many advertisements we can see. So that is the rotating images basically. And when we click on that image, we can go to the specific content of that advertisement. So that can be done using the Adrotator control. So these are few graphics, these are few graphic controls which are available in ASP.NET. So let's go through them. So first is image control. There is nothing much to do for the image control. You can just drag and drop it like other controls. Okay, so this is the image control. Yeah, Anita, that's okay, I have just started. This is the image control, drag and drop it here. Now if you will see the properties of this image control, you will find the main property is we want to basically set the image path or image URL. So this is the property image URL. If you give a path from here, see these are the images in my application. This is my entire solution. So I can browse through the images, I can browse through the path. So whatever image you set, you can set from here. That will be setting image statically or at design time. Okay, this is the fixed image. Now at runtime also you can change the image, simple, by coding. Now on the button click, if I want to change the image, I will set the image URL. Ultimately this is the property of image class. Okay, so the object name is image one. So the object property and set it. Okay, so the image whatever you are providing will be set this. So let me execute it. So So this is the first image which I provided at design time. When I click on the button, this code will be executed, and runtime dynamically I'm setting some other image. Okay, this is what the image control is, and this is to display images on the website. You can set images dynamically or statically or at the design time. Any question here? Is it clear? Okay, next is Adrotator. Guys, before Adrotator, let us do one more graphic control, which I have not mentioned here. Button, image button we have already done. Image map. Okay, so this was not included. I'm doing it now. So image map is when you have some image and you want to treat it as map, means some area you want to, like this is the image. Now what you want to do is you want to do spotting of the image. So this is one spot, this is another spot, this is another spot. Basically this is a single image. You are what you are doing is actually you are making it into different portions, and each portion can behave differently. Now when you click on it, you want to execute code, piece of code, logic 1. When you click here, you want to execute second code or some other thing. When you click here, you want to execute code 3. Let's say this is the thing which you want. Ultimately the image is same, but you want different code to be executed based on which part on the image you have clicked on. Okay, so this functionality basically can be achieved through image map control. So I'll write an example. This is not already written, so let me write an example. So I'm adding a new item, new page for this. I'm giving some name. Let's see, EX image map. Okay, I will use this image map from the toolbox, drag and drop. Now in the image map, if you will see, this source code has been added. So image map control, some ID, you can rename it. This ID we use to access it on the server side code or in the code behind. Now go to the properties. What you will see is there is a collection of hotspot. Whatever spotting you want to do, how many spots you want to make on the image, you can add those spots from here. Okay. Now if you see on the add, you can use these spots, rectangle, polygon, circle. So I'm using rectangle. Now here you can decide, you can make a spot. Let's say it's from bottom 10, left 20, right something 40, from top let's say 50. Okay. Now this is the mode, hotspot mode. This portion, how you want this to behave, which way you want it to behave, like a navigation control, or you want it to make inactive, just be there, or you want to make it behave like a postback element. So let me choose this postback. Then you can have multiple hotspots which are behaving as a postback. So what you can do is you can provide a postback value. I am providing, let's say 1. Okay, click OK. So one spot has been created. Now I'm creating one more. Let me create another rectangle one, so it will be easy to understand. Bottom 50, left 100, right let's say 20, top 50. Postback value, let's say 2. Okay, so these 2 spots have been created. Now another thing, we have to set the image. So there will be some image URL property. Here you can set some image. Now let's say this is the image I am using, or maybe this one. Okay, this is the image. I'm using. Now double click here, it will generate an event, image map click. Okay. Now I want to write different code if I click on the spot 1 and if I click on the spot 2. So now see this image handler, this event handler has some specific image map event arguments. Okay. So this event arguments can be used. So you can see now if e dot postback value, okay, is 1, then do something, whatever piece of code you want to execute. So I'm just here writing response dot write spot 1. If value is 2, which is for the other spot 2. Okay. Now if you will see here the source view, you can see the image map is containing the rectangle hotspot as a child element. So these are basically the child element of image map. Everything is ultimately a class. Rectangle hotspot is a class. These are different properties for this class: bottom, right, postback value. And image map itself is a class, and these are different properties for it. Okay. Now we'll see how it behaves. Yeah, I don't remember the coordinates actually, but wherever the spot is, it will show the hyperlink over there. What coordinates I am using? A rectangle, bottom 10, left 20, right 40, 50. I'm not able to figure out where the coordinates are.
Can we check any border color or something is there? So we can change it some different color.
Right. I will have to put CSS because spot 1. Okay. But this is the alternate text. It will not come actually. Let me do one thing. Let me use some smaller image. This was a smaller one. Now you can see spot 1 and there will be somewhere spot 2. Or maybe the spot 2 is out of coordinates or something. Some coordinates may be wrong, but here is the spot 1. Okay. So it is behaving like a post back. Now you can see posted the page back, and here you can detect the post back value is 1. So response dot write spot 1. Maybe the spot 2 coordinates itself are wrong. Spot 2, what I'm providing is bottom 50. Okay, let me do this. Bottom 10, left instead of 20, make it 40. Right 20, top same. Is something wrong with it? Okay, spot 1, I'm able to make it. Why not spot 2? What is the problem, guys? Kastiru, can you help me here?
Tanvi, I think
It's a spot 1 or a spot 2, it's overlapping.
the same
Overlapping?
name.
Just you check
Same
the
name.
points, left or right or
Okay, left I have increased here 40. I'm making 40 and right I have decreased actually. And top and bottom I'm keeping the same.
top and bottom. Okay.
Tanvi, the rectangle hotspot, it's both of them has the same name. Is it the tag name or?
Where is the name? This is alternate text? Yeah, this
No.
is the tag name. This is not the ID.
ID, okay.
This is the tag. These are basically, this is basically collection. And this is the each object in the collection. So there is nothing wrong here.
Okay.
I think this is because of coordinates. Nothing else. Could be bottom 10. Let's make it bottom 30. Left 40. 20. Oh, I got it. Even the spots are overlapping, it works. Do not have a problem. Okay. Tag is not closing or what? Right 0. So it should be somewhere here. I have given right 0. Let me give something. Right 5. I don't know why it is not detecting. Let's look at this later on. Spot 1, spot 1.
Tanvi, is it going to the other postback value?
Sorry?
Like while you were debugging, did it go to the other postback value?
No, it doesn't go. It doesn't go there. So it is. When I click here, this is the only spot and it goes to the spot 1. Okay, let's do it later on, guys. We are going to waste time on it otherwise. Okay, our image map. Top, bottom, left, right. Oh, that's what I'm doing. Top, bottom, left, right. Top, bottom, they are also keeping the top and bottom same. Increasing the left, increasing the right. Yes. The only thing is I'm using the post back mode. Yeah, this is the post back mode. Yeah, should be fine. Let's do it. Bottom 10, top 15. Left 40. Now it came. See, the coordinates were wrong. Now spot 1 and here the spot 2. Basically coordinates which I was providing was basically out of the image area. Okay. So this is how we can use image map. It is actually simple. The only thing is I was not able to put the right coordinates. Now in the same example, what you do is if you want to make them behave as a navigation item instead of post back, so the only thing is from the collection, you have to do this. Make the spot mode as navigate and then provide the navigate URL. Okay, when you do so, it will go to that URL. Let me do it. Let's say from this page, which is EX image map, I go to the default page. It is where on the spot 1. Okay, so now spot 1 will behave as navigation, like a hyperlink, not as a post back. Okay. Any question, guys, here? Shall we move on? Okay. Next one is Adrotator. So Adrotator control we are using for displaying advertisements on the application. This control uses the XML file to schedule the task. XML is like a data source. It is like a file where we are keeping data. Okay, but like our databases, SQL Server, they are the relational database. It is a flat database. Okay, so data you are storing, XML file is basically used for data storing, but that data should be, if you have a large amount of data, then the better way is database, but if you have a small amount of data, you can use the XML file. Now to use this control, what we have to do, again, to draw the control on the web form. Now you have to create an XML file. In XML file, you have to write the code which will be related to what advertisements you want to display. Okay, so that code I will show you. It will start with this tag. Then each ad will be set in this add element. Now that XML file you will have to set in the property of Adrotator control, which is the advertisement file property. So Adrotator control which we are using, that has this property advertisement file. Now this file will become your XML file where you are writing what ads to be displayed. Now what to write in XML file is whatever you are writing in XML file will be under add element. Okay, XML file is also like your HTML file. Every tag will have opening and every element will have opening and closing tags. But in HTML you have some predefined elements which you can use, like you can use paragraph, you can use div. You cannot decide your element names. Those are the predefined names. But in XML file, you can choose your element name. Okay, the rule is it should be opened and closed. Now add, this will define that the ad begins here. Now in the ad, ultimately what an ad is, advertisement is, it's an image. So what image you want to display on the advertisement will be the image URL element. Navigate URL is when you click on the image where you can navigate. Alternate text is what text to be displayed in the tooltip. Keywords is the keywords for that your ad, category or keywords like meta. And impression is the probability of that ad to be displayed on the page. So the more the number of impressions or the probability, the more it will get a chance to be displayed on the page. Now let's see an example for this. Okay, so here I have Adrotator control, simply drag and drop it. The only property which we are using is the advertisement file, which is useful. There will be other properties for changing the appearance and all, but this is the useful property. So this is taking advertisement from this file, XML file.xml. Okay, I have XML file.xml here. This is XML file. Now, for any XML file, you will see XML, this thing, what XML version or what XML rules you are following. But for the Adrotator XML file, this is also must. You will have to add this element. It makes this XML file as an advertisement file. Okay, so this is what you have to use. Now each ad is in between these ad elements. Image URL, this is the image on the in the solution. Navigate URL, if you click on this image, go here to alternate text, keyword you can provide, and impression. This is the another ad, some other image I have provided, and this is the third ad. Okay, now this has been set as the source file for this Adrotator control. So when you will execute this page, in this place of Adrotator, you will see these images in random order, basically based on the priority or the impression you have provided over there in the XML file. Now this is the one advertisement. Now you can see if I click on it, it goes there because this is the navigate URL. Refresh it. Now I see the different advertisement. These are some images. You will actually in the real world, you will actually put the proper advertisement images. I'm just using some random images here. So whenever you refresh the page, you will see different images based on the priority you are using. Is it clear, guys? Any question? Okay. Are you getting it, Ravikant?
Yeah, yes, Tanvi. I'm
Okay.
like partially able to
Getting it.
understand. I'll follow up.
Okay. Shubha, are you able to understand?
Yes, Tanvi.
Okay. Okay, now getting dates. When we ask user to input date, okay. So what we can have, we can put a text box and then we can say add the date here, like date of birth, whatever on the forms you must have seen. But when they input date, that is not a good idea because they may do some mistakes and tactical mistakes or format mistakes. So ad should be in the proper format. So rather than letting them choice to enter date, the better is give them a choice to select it. So that way there will be no errors in the format. Okay, so for that we have this control, calendar control. Now see how to use this calendar control. Now again, the similar way, drag and drop the calendar from here. Here is the calendar, you can drag and drop it. Now what properties are useful for the calendar? Whenever you are changing the selection, date selection, so there is an event on selection changed. Okay, you can use this. You can use this event. This is the default event. When you double click on the calendar, this event will automatically be created like a button click event. So this is the default event. Another thing is, another useful property is selected date. Okay, so many times when we see the calendar on the page, we see that today's date is by default selected. So you can make use of this property also, selected date. You can dynamically select it by today's date, or you can just put something here, whatever you want to do. Then there is a selection mode, which is day, week, or month. I will show you what modes available. Yeah, selection mode, day, week, and day, week, month. Day mode, you can only select a single day. Okay. Day, week, you can select the entire week. Week you can select. And day, week, month, you can select the day, single day, as well as you can select the entire week, as well as you can select the entire month. Okay. These are the three different modes which are useful. Now basically what we need to do is, whenever user is selecting something from the calendar, the only thing is you want to do is get the selected date, what user has selected. This is what we need from a calendar. Okay. So what I'm doing is, here I am writing a code to display, and guys, let me just make it simpler. Comment out this entire thing. And this also. Okay. So the useful property to get what user has selected is a selected date property. Okay. So I'm executing it. Okay. Now you can see the current date is the today's date. Okay. Which is coming from here. On the page load, I have set this label text as KLSource.today's date. So today's date is another property which is to provide today's date. I want to remove, I don't want this time. So what I can do is use the format, which is, there are different format available. Short date string. We don't want time, so I'm only using this format of short date string. Okay, so you will see it will be displayed. Okay, so this is the current date. Now whenever I do select something from here, it will go in this event and set the selected date in this label. So I'm selecting this 16. So it will get it from the selected date. Selected date is another property. Okay, so these two things are important. One is calendar's today's date property and selected date property. Okay, is this clear? Selected date is useful when we are only selecting a single date. Okay. Now this calendar is in mode which is day, week, month. So you can select the entire week as well. That means the day is, it's not a single date selected, but it is a range of dates. Now let me select this one. So how you can see the multiple selected dates or the range of dates. Okay, so now selected dates is a collection. Okay, this is another collection available. through calendar. So you will have to just traverse through the collection and you will get whatever date you have selected. But you have to select in that format only. Either day, week, you have to select the entire week, or the month, or the week or the month, week and the month, both. Okay, so it will print here. Now here, this is the way we can select the entire week. It goes here. Okay, so you can see the okay, so you can see all the dates selected in the week. Okay, you can change the selection. Okay, or this is where you can select the entire month, because we can select it because it is in this mode. You guys will see if I change the mode, I won't be able to see these arrows to select the entire week. Let me do this only day, make it only day, and run it again. So we don't see the weekly selection and the monthly selection. Getting it, guys?
Yes, Tanvi.
Okay, so this is what is important with the calendar. Now here, in the example itself, I have implemented something, but let us not do that in the class. I will give you that as an assignment. So don't look at the code, try yourself, and then if you have some problem, you can see this code. This is basically the commented code. Okay. Now what I have to do is here I can only select the entire week or the month based on the selection mode. But I want to select random dates. For example, I want to select 9, 10, 5, 4. Okay. So I want to select random dates by pressing your control key and multiple selection, and then I want to display those dates. Okay. So this is the assignment. Getting it, guys? What we have to do? Is this clear what needs to be done in the assignment? Okay, so try it. You will have to explore some more events of the calendar control and write some code on those events. Okay. Guys, give me a minute, I'll be back. Okay, I'm back. So we'll move on. Next is multi-view control. What is multi-view control is basically when you have page, something you want to see, like you want some information to be on the same page, but in like multiple, you can say tabs. Many times you have seen this tabbing kind of thing. Enter personal information, enter company details, okay, or contact details, something like this. Okay, so the entire controls text boxes are on the same page, but when you click on this view, only those controls which are there will be displayed. When you click on this Only those controls which will be displayed. When you click on a button, the entire page is posted and all the controls are available. Okay, because those are ultimately on the same page. This is the kind of thing which we can achieve through the multi-view control. We'll do the example, guys. Basically, this class doesn't have much theory because what we are doing is everything has to be shown. So you don't see much thing written on the slides. Okay, now here multi-view control, how we can use the multi-view. First thing is we have to drag this multi-view control, and then within the multi-view, whatever number of views or tabs we want to create, those number of views we have to use. Okay, so that within the multi-view, the child control will be the view control. Now you can see in my code, multi-view opens here and it is ending here. Okay, now within multi-view, you can see I have a view from here till here. This is one view. Okay, and this is another view. In the another view, basically I don't have any control. I'm just writing this line of code. Okay, now in first view, I have the normal form, text box, another text box, some field validator, which are going to be discussed. Some controls basically I have. Okay, so in the design view, if you will see, this is one tab name and this is another tab. Sorry, this is the content on the first view and this is the content on the second view. Okay. So the same page, this becomes the view 1 and this thing becomes the view 2. The same page we are dividing in view 1 and view 2. Now what do we want is, basically when I click on this link, okay, then only view 1 should be displayed to the user, okay, and view 2 should be basically hidden. When I click on this tab, view 2 should be displayed and view 1 should be hidden. Okay, this is what we want in the multi-view. So multi-view is not performing any commands, not doing anything. The only thing is we are setting some group of controls, making them visible tabbing wise or at any given point of time. So what we can do is we can set, for example, I have written this. If we click on link tab 1, which is my first link, the control ID. So from this multi-view 1, make the active view index 0. The first view index is 0. The first view's index is 0. The second view's index is 1. So when I click on link 2, make the second as the active. And if you have more, you can write more. Okay, this is the code we are writing, and I have two link buttons here. You can see link tab 1, tab 2. On tab 1 click, making the view 1 active. On tab 2 click, making the view 2 active. Okay. Now in one view you can write any number of controls. You can have any number of controls, but remember, this is still the same page. So you cannot write in one view you have one form element, then in another view you have another form element. This is not possible. Okay. So here by default this active index 0 is selected. So I am on this view. This comes when I click on this tab. The content from the second tab is displayed or second view is displayed. Okay. Is it clear? Any question here? Any doubt? Shubha, Rupa, Anita, getting it, guys?
Yes, that way it is similar to card layout in Java.
Okay. Okay, great.
Thank you.
Okay, so let's move on. Then another control we have is placeholder control. So placeholder control is basically which will hold a place for other controls. Okay, so let's say when you are designing your form, you don't know what controls you want to put here, but you will come to know dynamically. Okay, when your code will be executed on the server. So what you can do is, but you know that you want to display those controls here. But what controls you don't know. So what you can do is you can reserve a place in the placeholder control. Then dynamically you can add controls in this placeholder. That's all. So it holds the place for the other controls. So other controls becomes nested controls of this placeholder. So here I have two placeholders, placeholder 1, placeholder 2. Now you can see the code on the page load. Now I don't have controls at the design time. I don't know what controls will I have in future. So it will be decided dynamically. So dynamically I am creating a text box. I can do so because I am creating an object of the text box here, setting the text property. Now I want this text box to come here in the placeholder 1, to be displayed in the placeholder 1 and the second in the placeholder 2. Okay. So on the placeholder 1, it has the controls collection, controls add and add the object. Okay. So text name you have added in the placeholder 1. Then I'm creating a button object, setting the property, adding it to the placeholder 2. Okay. This is the only usage of the placeholder. So you can add controls dynamically on that particular place. Okay. So placeholder 1 is this, placeholder 2 is this. Even if you reverse the placeholders, you will see the placeholder 1 is first and then placeholder 2. So first you will see the text box because it has been added in this placeholder, and next is the button which has been added in the placeholder 2. Okay. Next is file upload. File upload control. How to use the file upload control? Here the control file upload. Okay. So whenever you must have seen that you want to upload some image on the forms, you must have seen this kind of things, that a text box, then choose a file and upload button. Okay. So you can choose a file, click here and choose the file, the name will come, and on uploading it will be added on the server. Okay. This is what we want to do with the file upload. So let's do it with the example. This is the file upload control which has been added on the form. Okay. No property, nothing has been set because we want to set which file to be uploaded dynamically. Okay. And that we are doing on the button upload. So we will do that functionality on the button upload, click. Okay. So the only thing is ID, I have given some ID to this file name. Okay. And then there is the label error. If there is any error or whatever, if it has been uploaded, we will display the result here. What is the status basically? Okay, now the entire thing of what we generally do with the file upload, we are doing here on this button click. Okay. Now first of all, which path we want to upload the file. Okay, so we are setting the path here. Now server is an application or is an object, and map path is another method which will set the path. Now when you put this tilde sign, it is the root folder. Okay, application root folder. Then in the root folder, I have this folder, uploaded images. This is the path where we want to upload the file, whichever user choose. Okay. Now, if user has not chosen any file and still click on the upload, okay, so user should get something that some file is not selected or something, file is not chosen or it is empty. So first, the better is always check if user has chosen some file or not. So this we can do from this property has file. Okay. So file image.has file. If it is true, then go ahead and upload the file. Okay. Then many times what do we want? We don't want all the files to be uploaded. For example, if you have an option of upload your image. So what do you want? You want only image files to be uploaded, not all the files. User cannot upload PDF file or doc file. User can only upload JPG, GIF, all these image formats. Okay. So many times you may want to see also that if the extension is what you want, otherwise you can cancel or you can basically send an error message that this file extension cannot be uploaded. So how you can see this is basically what I'm doing is I'm creating a file extension, okay, and from the path I'm using this get extension method. I am putting the name of the file, okay, and converting it all the names to the lowercase. Now this is an array of string which I'm keeping so that these values are allowed in my case, okay. It can be different based on the program. So in my case, this is the array of allowed file extensions. So I will match this file extension with this allowed extensions, okay. And I'm just setting a bool type, a flag, file is okay or not, okay. The extension is okay or not, okay. So if it matches with any of the allowed extension, the file will be okay. So far, any question with this code? So here the file upload control, you are using two properties. One is has file property, which is checking the upload control has some file or not, and the other is file name. Whatever file it has, it is retrieving the name of that file. So two properties you are using here, has file and the file name. So far we have checked the file is okay or not. Now you are writing the code on that flag. So if file is okay, that means the extension is okay, then you want to actually upload it. So what is the method which you use is file image. With this method is available with this posted file object, and the method is save as. Save as, this is the path where you want to save. Sorry, this is the path where you want to save the path and the file name which you want to give. Okay. Here I don't want to change the file name. Whatever name user has kept for the file, keep the same name. So I'm using file image dot file name. You can change, you can rename it, you can give some other name, okay. And if there are some exceptions, file could not be uploaded or cannot accept file of this type if the extension does not match, means file is not okay. Getting it, guys? So three things which we have seen regarding the file upload control is has file property, file name property, and save as method of the posted file object. Okay. So these are the most important things which we'll be using whenever we are using the file upload control. Now I will choose some file. Some image file. We see the size, small statement. Okay, this is this. I just want to upload some smaller file. No images on my machine. Okay, let's do it. Okay, download.jpg. I think this is already there. I will just clear my uploaded image folder, whatever is there, just to demonstrate. click here on this button, we are uploading. Now first time you can see the file OK, flag is false, path. Now you can see this is my root folder and then uploaded images. Okay, this is the folder where I want to upload. The root folder is coming from this server.map path and the tilde sign, and then I have added the uploaded images one. Has file, it is true. File extensions JPG, allowed extension, it matches with the allowed extension. It matches. Okay, so it became true. Will come out of the loop. File OK. Save as. Okay, so it has been saved. Now the folder I just emptied, we can refresh it and see the images here. Okay. Here guys, any question here? Everyone understand this try and catch? What is try catch here?
Exception handling. If any error.
Right. So we'll go in detail, but whenever we think that some code may cause some exception. Exception is not syntactical error. It will not caught by the compiler, but it will be some logical error which is in your program. For example, if you are trying to upload a file, but your directory does not exist. Let's say uploaded images directory itself is not here. Okay, so your code syntactically will not be wrong, but that directory, if it does not exist, what will you do? How the image will be uploaded? So you will get an exception that directory does not exist, something. So to catch that exception from a piece of code, what do you do is put that piece of code in this try block. Okay, and whenever if there is some error, the control will stop whenever the error is, and it will go to the catch block. Okay, and then catch block will be executed. So the client will not see the error which is like a technical error which we can understand, which is written by the this platform, but you can set your errors. Okay, this is what client will see. So this is easy to understand for the client. Okay, this is user friendly error messages you can set. So basically whatever exceptions are there in piece of code that can be handled in the try catch. If you think this can cause some exception. Generally whenever we writing a program, we do use try and catch everywhere wherever we can use it. We should use it. Okay, so you never know whenever some exception can occur, so it will be handled better, in a better way. So exception handling we are going to see in detail. Any question guys so far? Now we will see, I think many controls we have covered from the toolbox. Whatever has not been covered guys, just explore them, go through them. Adrotator, bulleted list we are not done. Please do it. Button, calendar, checkbox, drop down, hidden, hyperlink, image button link. These all are covered. Literal, multi-view, panel, placeholder. Table we will cover in the area.net. View. Did we do this guys? Wizard control. We did not do it.
No, we didn't write that wizard control.
We didn't. We do. Okay. So let's do it first and then we will move to the validation controls. I'm surprised this is not there in the slides. It should be there. Let me see if there is an example already written. I have to write. Okay, it is there. So everyone, we know what is the wizard control, what is the wizard, what we see on the websites. So wizard is basically you want user to fill up a form, but not at not all in one shot, but you want to make it into steps. First fill up this step. If this is done, then go to the next step and fill the next step. Okay. So whenever we install something like Visual Studio or some utility, we see that we go through the wizard steps. Okay. So that functionality we can achieve here through the wizard control. Again, here we saw the control, you will have to drag it. Now how to use it? It will, with the wizard control, you see this smart tab. Okay. Now you can create how many number of steps you want or remove steps. So go to this add or remove steps. Okay. Now this is the first step, personal info, company info. You can see this. Okay. You can see this starting steps. Step type is selected as auto. Okay. And this is the last step. For the last step, what you have to do is step type should be complete. Then on the last step, if you will see the step type complete, then on the last step, you will see the finish button. Okay. Now next button comes automatically. For the cancel button, I think it does not come automatically. You can choose you want to show the cancel button or not. On the, yeah, here are the wizard properties. Okay. Now what is the text? Cancel button text. What you want to show on the cancel button? Generally cancel. What you want to show on the finish button? Finish. You can change it. You can make it complete. What you want to show on the next and the previous button. Okay. So these are the things. These are the properties available. Yeah, it is there. Display cancel. It is true. So it will display the cancel button. I think by default it is not displayed. The cancel is not displayed. Okay. Now once you click on the finish button, all the controls will be accessible. Okay, whatever you have set in the control. Okay, so on the page load after finish, if I try to do this, access the elements from the wizard, I can do so. Okay, the only thing is it is giving me flexibility to fill up those in the steps. Okay, so you will see when you add this wizard step, each wizard step is basically object of this wizard step, and this has been added into this collection. Okay, each is the object of wizard step and will be added to steps collection. Okay, then within the step you can keep whatever controls you want. So within first step I am keeping name and phone. Within second step I am keeping company name and phone. And the third step I am not doing anything. I am just setting the step type as complete. So there it will be finished. That's all we need to do with the wizard. Nothing else. Obviously you can change the appearance of the control from properties. Now you'll see. First it goes to the page load. You will see nothing has been entered. Okay, so you'll see all blank. Now this is the first step. Next. Now you'll see the data from the first step here. But next is empty. You have not filled the next yet. Now on the next, finish. Okay, now you can see whatever you have input on the wizard, all the data. Okay, is it clear, guys? Anyone, any question? Okay, now we'll move on to the validation controls. Everyone know what validation is? Why do we need validation? Anyone want to explain? What is the validation?
It's a predefined validations, the client-side validations. Which is available.
But what a validation is? What is it?
Whether the checking the data is a correct format or.
We are checking the data is correct or not. Yeah. Okay. So whenever we have web applications, we have mostly what we are doing is, if we don't have a static web application, which is just for the informative purpose, but if we have dynamic application, we are basically writing application to gather the information or to collect the information. So in the e-commerce application, we have different forms for the customer name, address, shipping address and all. Okay. So we are basically collecting the data, phone number, email. So there is no point if you collect wrong data. Okay. So in place of phone, if someone writes ABC, there is no point to gather this data because this is not okay. So what do we need to do is validation. Validation of user input or data input by the user. Now we can do two kind of validation. One is client side, one is server side. Okay. Now client side validation mostly done through the scripting. Or mostly it is done through the JavaScript. Many times it is done through the VB script also, but it is not a good idea because VB is only understood by the IE browser, but every browser has inbuilt capability to understand this JavaScript. Okay, or basically to execute this JavaScript. Not understand, but to execute this JavaScript. Scripting is not a compiled language, right? You cannot compile script. Whenever you are writing a script, when it will be executed, that time you will come to know what errors are. Like C#, first we are compiling, we correct the errors, then we'll move on and execute the program. It is not like that. Whatever piece of code you are writing, when it will be executed, that time you will get the errors. Okay, this is what the scripting is. It is within the page, within the HTML page, but it is within the HTML element. But it is within the page, but outside the HTML element and within the head tag, right? That's where you add the script. What is the advantage and disadvantage of client-side scripting? Any one of you? What is the advantage first?
It actually saves
No round trip.
space.
That's other.
Right, that's right. Yeah. That's right, Kasturi. Who else was answering?
It's Rupa.
Yeah, Shubha.
No, Rupa.
Oh, Rupa, sorry, Rupa.
So yeah, it saves the server space, the time spent on it.
Right. Okay. So what happens when we are filling up the form? So when we fill up the form, then form goes for the processing on the server. So this is client filling up the form here. Okay. Now let's say if client has done some error here, some format is wrong or something, then it will go to the server request. If you are not doing client side validation, then server will do entire processing. How much lengthier the processing is, it will do. Then we'll come to the client and we'll say, oh, this is the error. Okay. So first of all, for the client, it is not a good experience for the genuine client. Okay. Who really wants to fill up the form, who is not the hacker, really wants to fill up, who is not the spammer and want to send the form to the server. It is really frustrating or not a good experience that he is waiting such a long for that error only. Okay. This is one thing, not good user experience. Another thing is you are wasting a round trip. Okay. So you are basically decreasing your performance. Third issue is there. Anyone else? What else is there? What other issue? Other than performance and experience, user experience. Another thing is whenever you are writing a script, anyone can view the script, right?
Yes.
You can right click and view source. You will see the script. So a script is basically validation code. So your hackers, spammers will come to know what code is written. So they will break the code. Okay. And with the wrong data, they will be able to go to your server. Or even if they know that this is the format you want to enter data and they will enter the right data. Okay. Through the spammer coding and all and will send that spam to the server. Okay. So client-side validation is good user experience, but not secure. Okay, because the script is visible to anyone. Source is visible to anyone. So server-side validation. One more thing about client-side validation, one more disadvantage is client-side validation depends. My voice is echoing. Okay, so another disadvantage is where I was, yeah, on the client side validation. Yeah, it is dependent on the browser. Okay, so client can disable the script or the JavaScript from the browser. Okay, so it will basically bypass the validation. So if JavaScript is disabled in the browser, which anyone can do, so the validation are bypassed. So then server side validation. So even though you are going to the server, it is there is the performance issue, there is the what else? Yeah, there is the client user user experience issue, but your code, your validation code is secure. Okay. So the better way or the best way is first do the client side validation. Okay. So client will have a good user experience. Client will see, okay, this is the error, so we'll correct it, and then send it to the server, and again still do the server side validation. Right? So it will double check and those validation are secure. So even some hackers, spammers bypass this validation or JavaScript is disabled, still the validations are being done on the server. So this is what the best scenario is. Getting it, guys?
Tanvi.
Okay. So what we are using validation controls in ASP.NET, this is what it is using, the best approach. So whatever validation control we will use, they will use client side validation plus server side validation. Okay. So even if some browser has client side validation disabled through the JavaScript disabled, the server side validation will be executed. We will not have to do anything. We don't have to write any JavaScript or even server side validation code. We don't have to write any code other than we are using custom validation. Okay. It will do the entire thing. It will do the scripting on the client side and it will execute server side validation code as well. And that code will be also added by default. Okay. Now what validation controls are available? Required field. Okay. So check if a control contains data. Some fields are required. That name is required. You cannot leave it blank. It is mandatory. Compare validator. It compare between two controls. Many times we see this, enter password and re-enter password. Okay, so it basically matches this with this control. So it compares two controls, or it can compare one control with some data or some constant, like it should be less than 100, greater than 100, something like this. Okay, so can compare between two controls and can compare between a control and a constant, both. Range validator, the entered item is between some range. Okay, for example, age, enter between 18 to 50, 60, whatever. Okay, so range validator. Then the regular expression validator, follow some specific format or a pattern. So email, follow some specific format, zip code, follow a format. Okay, so these can be validated using the regular expression validator. Then custom validator. If there is something which cannot be achieved using this, which we want a different kind of validation, different logic we want, then we can use a custom validator. Okay. Then when we are using custom validator, then we can write client side validation and we can write server side validation. We have to write it. Okay. In these controls, it will automatically write it and handle it. Then validation summary is another control. It doesn't do any validation, but all the errors which we got through these validation controls can be displayed in a center location through the validation summary control. Okay, summary of validations error. Now let's use these controls on a page, on a form. Okay, so this is the text box 1, and this text box I'm using the required field validator. This text box 1, I want it to be the mandatory. Okay, so what I will use is required field validator. How you can use control, any validation control, you can see the validation tab here. Okay, drag the control, required field validator. Okay, this is the control. Now for this control, the useful property is this control is associated with this text box, right? Every validator control should be associated with some server control. Okay, otherwise it doesn't make any sense to use the validation control, because with that control you want to validate some data which is entered in the server control. So in the text box 1, whatever we type, we want to validate. Okay, and how we want it to be the required. So you can see this required field validator properties. Now what important properties are? First, we have to set a message. So if user, or if there is any error, so what message should be displayed on the page? Okay, so mandatory field, required field, whatever you can set. Now this is very important, control to validate. With this required field validator, what control data, what server controls data you are validating. So this is my first text box ID, which I want to validate. You can see here, txt required. This is the text box 1 which I want to validate. So control to validate is this. Okay, is this clear, guys? Everyone? Is this clear? Now for color, what should be the message color? Generally, whenever there are some errors, we want to display them in the red color or some specific color. So for color, I have set red. Okay, there are many other things. Set focus on error. If there is an error, set focus on that control. So set focus on error is true. Okay, I will discuss what validation group is. This is also important one. Okay, that's all in the required field validator. Okay. Then next is compare validator. Compare validator, I want to validate text box 2 with the compare validator. Now the useful properties is error message, the same. Okay, now one is control to validate. So I want to validate this control, the second one. So this is the control to validate property. And then I want it to be compared with the some other control. So which control? Control to compare. So this is the first text box. So basically I am comparing the first and the second text box. So control to compare and control to validate. So this is another thing which is useful here. Okay, another thing is, instead of this, you don't want to compare any control, but you want it to be compared with a constant. So what you can do is you can write a value to compare. I want to compare it with 100. Then how it should be compared with 100? Can it be equal? Can it be lesser, or what? So operator on that check. Okay. So this is also can be done. So basically with this you can compare two controls, or you can compare a value with the operator. So these are the properties of the compare validator. Now what useful properties are in the range validator? Okay, so the third text box, I want to validate and the data should be in specific range. Okay, now you can see the properties associated. Again, there will be some error message. Control to validate, important. This is the mandatory. If you will not set it, it will not work, or even it will throw an error. Okay, now type. What kind of data? Integer. Let's say I'm setting as integer, then minimum value and the maximum value. So you are basically checking it within a range 5 to 10. Okay. Then this is the regular expression validator I'm using on this text box. Okay, so let's say I want to have some email address or something. Okay, so I will have to add that format. We add that format in regular expression, in the form of regular expression. Everyone knows regular expression. What is it? Anyone? What a regular expression is? Kasturi?
It's like a patterns to check the.
It's a pattern. The data pattern. Data format. Okay. So you don't have to write. We can write our expression, but you don't have to write it. You can get your expression online. There is a good website for it, or you can get the expression even in Visual Studio. I'll show you how. But all expressions are not available here. So you can use this one. This is the good website for finding all the regular expressions. For example, I want to get the expression for the email. Okay. So you search here, you will see a lot of formats, email formats. Then you can choose based on your needs. Okay. So it returned me this format. Okay. So these will be the matches. These will be the non-matches. Okay. So whatever suits you, you can use that pattern. Okay. Now here, email address. Now you can see this control to validate, the server control which you want to validate, and the important one is the validation expression. What expression, what pattern your data should follow. Okay. So these are important one. Now this will be validated on a button click or on a post click event. All these properties, these validations works on the button click. Let me execute it. Okay, one more thing I will show you is, did I do some change here in the source compare validator? Control to compare, control to validate. Control to compare is the first one. Okay. Now if you see the source, you will see when you are using the expression validation controls, it automatically, the system, the ASP.NET is automatically adding the script for the validations. Okay, this is automatically added, the Java script. Okay, so we don't have to write the Java script. It will automatically do the validation at the client side also. Now, okay, you can see the page did not post back. It did not go to the server because the client side validations are there through the validation controls. So mandatory, validate, empty, anything can be empty, but enter between 5 to 10. I cannot enter this thing. So for again error, and focus is also set on the error. You can see because we have done this, set focus on error. Now validate. Something I'm entering, you can see the error. Okay. Now everything is corrected and your data is sent to the server. Okay, guys. So these are the validation controls. We are doing validation through these controls. Any question here? Clear, everyone? Okay. Now there may be a situation. For example, let's say we have a form. We have some controls here. Okay, and we have two buttons. Let's say button 1 and button 2. Okay. Now what I want to do is, I want to validate only these two fields on button 1 click. Okay. If I am clicking on the button 2, I don't want to validate these fields. Are you getting it? Only on button 1 click, these two should be validated. And on button 2 click, these two should be validated. Okay. This is the thing which I want to achieve. So how we can do this is using there is a property associated with every button and every validation control. Validation group property. So basically you have to keep them in a group, validation group. So let's say I give a name, group 1. So this will be in group 1, this will be in group 1, and this button will also in group 1. Okay, let's say there is no group on this. Okay, so when I click on this button, it has a validation group as group 1. So it will only fire those validation which has the group 1. So it will fire the validation for these two validation controls, group 1 and group 1. Now if I want to fire some validation controls only on the button 2 click, so I will have to put them in another group. Let's say group 2, this is also group 2, and this validation group is also group 2. So on this button click, only group 2 validation will be fired. Okay, get it guys? Is this clear? Validation group property, this is also useful. Okay, so let's move on. Next is what? Next is the custom validation, custom validator control. Now if you want, see you don't want to validate data as required or within some range or within some format, but you have something specific. Some code is there which you want to write for the validation. So what you can do is you can write your own custom validator. So with the custom validator you will have to write the code on the client side or on the server or both. This is your choice. So the best is write code both on the client side as well as on the server. So let us see this example of custom validator. What I want is solution explanation. Okay. Now this checkbox, okay, the required field validator in ASP.NET does not work with the checkbox. Okay, so that you want something whenever you have a form, the last thing which you see, if you register on some website or something, accept terms and condition, and until you check it, your button is not enabled basically to move forward, or basically that is the required one. So if you want to make a checkbox required one, let's say this is the situation, you can write custom validator on any situation. This is the situation I am assuming, so I am writing custom validator for it, that I want this to be checked or this to be mandatory. Okay, the checkbox to be mandatory. So you will have to use this custom validator, drag and drop. Then what you have to write, so let's say in this code, we are in the first example, I will write custom validation on the server side. Okay, guys, one second. On the previous example, I did not show you guys that I said the validation will be done at the client side and will be done at the server. And on the server, how we can verify that everything is right or not. What is the previous example? Example 9. Okay. So when everything is right, what this does, the page object property, the property is valid. Okay. The system will set this property to if there are no errors. Okay. And if there are errors, it will set the property false. So if somebody bypasses the client side validation, again what you can do, you can write this line of code. If it is valid, then this code will be executed, then that. Okay. We just put a big point over here. Okay, so first time it comes here. Okay, so is valid property basically is not still set. So it is setting the exception. Okay, but it will be this code you can write here instead of on the page load. Let's write it here on the button click. This is not the right way. Yeah, this is better. Because in the page load we don't even have this property set, the page object. Okay, here I cannot even pass through the validations because I have the scripting enabled, so I cannot pass it. But even if somebody bypasses it, it will come here and it will say pages not valid. You will see in the next example which I am doing now in custom validator. So on the custom validator, you see I don't even have the client side scripting. Okay. What I'm doing is I'm only writing the server side validation. So on server validate, this is the function which will be handling this validation. So on this function, what I want this checkbox to be mandatory checked. Okay. So on this function, what I am writing is the arguments will be is valid if the checkbox is checked. Okay. Then on the button click, you can check if the page is valid or not. So if there is any error or not. Now here is no JavaScript added. So it will go to the server and then validate. Okay. So even if I don't check this, it will go to the server. Sorry, if 1 second. Yeah, it is going to the server. Let me just put a breakpoint here. Here. Okay. So this validation is happening on the server. Submit. Now you see here, the checkbox is not checked, so it is false. So arguments is also false. Okay. So on the submit button click. Again, I'm doing because I did not put breakpoint over there. So on the submit click, you can see the page is not valid. It is returning false. Okay. So now in the custom validator, whatever error message you are setting, this one, it will be displayed. So on the custom validator, the error message is this. Okay. So if page is not valid, so this is the error message displayed on the page. And what kind of validation we are using is server validation. And this is the event we are using for this on server validate. Okay. Any question, guys, here? Anything you want to ask? Is it difficult to understand or easy? Everyone getting it?
Yes, Tanvi.
Okay. Now next example I'm showing is where you are, instead of the server side validation, you are using the client side. So for that you should know how to write client side validation using the JavaScript. So I will assume here you know JavaScript. So instead of using, okay, now here what I want to do is I have a checkbox list. Okay, the other day we used checkbox list, we added items. Now at least one item I want to be selected from that list. Okay, and I'm using a custom validator. Again, the custom validator is here and the error message is here. Please select any meal periods. Error message is there. Okay. Now instead of on the validate, this is the event we are using, client validation function. This is the name of the event. Okay, these events you don't have to memorize that what the event name is. You will have to just see from here. Okay, server validate is one event. Okay, when you double click here, it will generate even the handler for this. If you want to write server validation also. Okay, so you don't have to memorize the event. On server, where is the client validation function is there, and this is the JavaScript function. Okay. Now you will have to add script on the page. Okay. So within the head you can add, or outside the head also you can add. So a script is there, function is there. With the check item, we are sending the arguments, okay, and the sender. Okay. Now here you will have to write code in JavaScript. This is how you write code in JavaScript. So we'll just first get this element ID, which is the checkbox list name. By default, first we make is checked is false. Argument also false. Is valid argument is a valid false. Then we will traverse through the checkbox list. So checkbox list is the whatever items are we got in the options array. Okay, this is an array. In the JavaScript, everything is where. Okay, they are loosely typed. They are not strongly typed. So we are traversing through the checkbox list through each item. If the item type is checkbox, okay, other than checkbox also you can have some item. So if the item type is checkbox, then we are checking if it is checked. So make the arguments is valid true. So even if one item is checked, this will become true. Okay. So on the code behind, if we check that page is valid or not, we can still check. But here I am not writing a server-side code. The only thing is I have just setting it in client side. So you will see the validation is happening on the client side, not on the server. So the best idea for the customer here is use both the events on client validation as well as on server validate. Submit, it did not post to the server, it is happening on the client. Before it was happening on the server. Okay. If I select something, then it goes to the server. Okay. You can see the posting it to the server. Clear this thing? Any question, any doubt? Shall we move on? Okay, next is navigation. Navigation is in the same application, or actually it happens outside the application also. Basically, we are going from one page to another page. So what navigation controls and methods are available? Hyperlink control. So it navigate to the another page. There is a method. This is in the ASPX you have to add hyperlink control. You can add it in the server side code also. But this is available as a control. Response.redirect is a method. It is equivalent to clicking a hyperlink. Okay, but it is you are writing on the CS server side code. Then there is the server.transfer method. It also navigates from one page to another, but what it does, it first ends the current web form and then begin executing a new web form. Then server.execute, it will display the next web form within the previous one. It will combine both the web forms. Okay. Server.transfer, server.execute works only with the web forms or ASPX page. For other links like PDF, other links, it doesn't work. Okay. Now window.open, this is another method, but this is a JavaScript method. So window.open also you can pass a URL and it goes to that URL or basically opens that window, but it is a JavaScript method. Okay. So let's see all these methods and the difference between them. So first is hyperlink. How we are using hyperlink is you can set the navigate URL. So we are on this page, navigation, navigate URL is some other page, default.aspx. Okay, this is hyperlink. Okay, now on the button click, I am using all these three methods, response.redirect, server.transfer and server.execute. We will see the difference in behavior. So I will just comment out other two server.transfer, server.execute and let the response.redirect be there. Okay. Okay, when I click here on the hyperlink, it will go to another page. Okay, so it is navigation. Now when I click here on the button, it does the same thing. Response.redirect method. Okay, commenting this out, server.transfer. Okay, now the server.transfer method will do the redirection. Okay, did you notice something? Your URL is still the same. So on the same page, it is stopping the current form and start the execution of the next one. But the URL is not default.aspx. This is what the server.transfer does. Let me comment it out and let me use the server.execute. I should have made it the starter page. Okay, now server.execute. Click on the button. Now this is the first form and this is the second form. Okay, so it is not stopping the execution of the first, but it is combining both. This is how it is navigating. So these are few different methods of navigation. Okay, guys. Okay, so any question, any doubt? So let us conclude with these summary points, whatever we have done in this session. Server control provides properties, methods, and events that can be used in the server code. HTML controls provides attributes and events that can be used in the HTML code or the script. Okay, if you are using some HTML control instead of a server control and still you want to use that control on the server side code in the .aspx.cs, then add this attribute run at equal to server. In the ASP.NET validations, first validations are performed on the client side before posting the page to the server. Once these validations succeeds, then it is validated again before the page load event on the server. Okay, in the page unit. We can use multiple validation controls for a single server control. For example, you can have email. You can use multiple, you can make it required as well as proper format. So regular expression validator. So you can use on this same server control, you can use required field validator plus the regular expression validator. So multiple validation controls can be used on a single server control. To navigate between pages, we have different methods or controls. So hyperlink is the control. Link button is another control which we have already discussed. Then these three server side methods and client side procedure, which is window.open. So these things are available. Okay, this is what the window.open is, and this window.open will be executed on the browser, will be executed by the browser. Okay. Now yesterday we discussed one assignment that you can complete now because we have discussed these validation controls as well. So you have to design form. Now you will have the name field, only alphabets allowed, and the required address. Don't do any validation there, just a text area. This should be a text area like this. This should be a text box name. Country should be a drop down list and add some countries from the collection. Phone number, you can use validation of USA phone number formats and make it required. Zip code, make it required and validate the USA zip format. Male, female, use the radio button. Birth date, use calendar to choose date. So it should be like this. There should be a text box. there should be a small image button where you can display a calendar. When someone clicks or user clicks on this image button, which has the calendar icon on it, the calendar will appear. Okay. Then you will choose a date from a calendar and it will be displayed here. But this text box will be in the read-only mode. Okay. User should not be able to edit it from here. User should be able to only select it from the calendar. Okay. So birth date, which you will use the date picker or the calendar, and age, you will do the number validation, range between 18 to 60, make it required. Email, format validation. Then you can use the checkbox list or a list box where the multiple selection should be allowed. Okay. Or make it at least one should be selected as well. At least one should be selected. And you can do the multiple selection as well. Okay. Then on a button click, on add button, we will later on convert it into the ADO.NET code and will add all this information in the database. But for now, after clicking on this add button, display all the user's input or user selection. Whatever name, address, whatever male, female has been selected, all these things you have to display on this button click. Okay. But before that, all the things should be validated. Okay. Is it clear now what to do? Okay, and another thing, another assignment was with the calendar control, where you should be able to select random dates, not in a week or month format, random dates, and you should be able to get the selected dates, randomly selected dates. Okay, so these two are assignments. Anyone, any question, any doubt, any concern?
Tanvi, in the randomly selected date, give me, how can I achieve that one, like a test plan, how I can do that one?
Shubha, in that case, I will suggest do a little Google search. So that way you will come to know more things also about calendar.
Okay.
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 I can tell you, but this is what I want to do.
Sure. Okay. Thank you.
You to do. Okay. So if you are not able to do tomorrow, I will tell you how to do it, but not today.
Okay. Okay. Got it. I'll try my best.
Okay. So guys, we have 5 or 8 minutes left, but I don't want to start a new session, so we'll do it tomorrow. Is that okay?
Okay, Tanvi.
Okay. So see you guys tomorrow then.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you everyone.
Okay,
Bye-bye.
bye.
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 The organizer has ended the